What you doing, David?
Well, today I'm going to take some cuttings. So we bought a stevia plant a couple of days back. So really sweet leaves. And I'm going to take some cuttings because it's quite tall and straggly. So we're going to take a few cuttings from there. But also then we're going to do fuchsias and all sorts. But just to go through what we do for taking cuttings, really. So it's a nice healthy plant. We'll snip it in reasonably low because we want it to bush out. Nice piece of growing media. That's probably a little long. What we do is cut below the node there. Now you can leave this stuff, but depending on the plant, it won't form roots. So where the root hormone is in the joint. So we do that. We take these leaves off. Drop those, and we just take the leaves off here, and then just leave the top few to. If you leave too many leaves off, and they're actually edible, so I shouldn't be throwing those away. If you leave too much leaf on, it sucks the water out of the plant before it gets a chance to do the roots. So that's what your cutting should look like. Now, again, if you want to be really clever, depending on what the plants are, these probably don't need it, but you can just take a little cut like that. And that just promotes the callousing and the root formation.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got just a standard plastic pottle. Use whatever implements you want as a dibber. Drop it down nice and deep. Just a little bit of firming in, and then you're ready. Okay?
Just like that.
Just like that. Okay, so there we got, it's about 4 cuttings there. Keep them separate to each other, give them a bit of space. The medium is 2 parts gravel. You can just use gravel if you want to, but it doesn't hold the water as well, so I tend to put 2 parts gravel, 1 part of seed raising mix, or you can use 1 part of peat or anything like that, as long as it hasn't got a lot of nutrient in it, because that causes issues with new roots. But otherwise, that's what you do. I'll just put a bit of gravel on top just to help with holding the moisture in a little bit more. And then what we do, get a nice big Ziploc bag, and drop it into the bag, and so, this goes very clumsily, like so. Move it all out the way, turn the label out the way, and it gives you the bag. Now if you want to put a cane in, hold that up, do that, then you can just zip it across, and that just creates its own little greenhouse microclimate. Don't put it in the sun because it will bake them mercilessly. Plenty of light, but light shade, out of the sun. It'll steam up and everything as the plants transpire, but you can also open it just to let a little bit of gap in the top there if you want to have a bit of air further down the track. Take about a month to 6 weeks, I think. You'll see them start to grow, but there's your cuttings. So we'll show you later on, just potting them on and how they're doing a bit further down the track. There we go.
Well done. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So this is just me making up a cutting mix. So as I said, 2 to 3 parts coarse sand to 1 part seed raising mix, just to give it a bit of moisture retention. It's not about giving it any nutrients or anything like that. It's purely about the moisture retention for them without going overboard. So while they've got to be wet, moist. They mustn't be soaked. So if it's holding too much moisture, they rot. But there we go. That's not bad. Not too bad a mix. And then we try to find a pot. Just fill the pot up. There we go. Give it a nice knock down. And there's our cutting mix, all nice and ready to be done. So I've got some fuchsias today. So these are pretty cool, just from the garden. So what I'm going to do with these, I want to also promote a bushiness. So I'm just going to take that top piece out, like that. And then from these nodes, they'll sprout out quite happily. So next thing is, when it's semi-ripe, so we go to about there. You can see the colour differentiation. So this is last year's growth, so that's quite a bit of a hardwood sort of thing. As it moves up, it starts to go into that purple colour, and that's at the edge of that, that's sort of semi-ripe. And then I'm just going to cut at the base of the node, because that's where the hormones are to promote the root, or the rooting. And then I'm just going to take these off. If you can't pinch the leaves off, then just either a knife or some very sharp snips and do that. And then we'll take those right off all the way. Don't damage the stem if you can help it. And there we go. So there's one of the cuttings. So very quickly we can whiz through these. We'll just take those off, leave those top leaves. Snip these off as close to the stem without damaging the stem. As you can see, that one's starting to shoot at the side, so leave them in because they're the growth for the bush. So leave those, and again take that down just to the base. Take that piece off a bit, and then if you want to be clever, you can just do that, and that just causes more callousing on the plant itself and promotes more root. So I'm only going to do 4. So this one's actually sprouting a bit, which isn't the ideal if it's got flowers on, but you can just take the flowers off. I might just take that off completely just to stop it thinking about it. Again, it's probably not long enough. The ideal would be to take it to here. With just the start of that redness coming in, so these are semi-ripe. If I was going to do the brown, I'd probably use a rooting hormone as well to do it. And then just take the leaves back just to stop that taking away too much water from the plant before it gets a chance to actually do the roots, which stresses the plant too much. This one's got an interesting kink on it, as you can see. Too sure how that one will do, but we'll give it a go because I'm too lazy to go.
Right.
I don't think that one will do it actually. So what I think I'll do is send my trusty assistant here to go and get me another fuchsia.
Okay.
So for this one we just decided to put a cane in the middle of it, and all that does is hold the snap lock bag upright rather than falling over. And I've done that one a little too big, so I want to actually close the zip on the snap lock. So we'll just take that down a little bit, like that. So if it falls, it's going to hold on, and these keeps it off the thing. That's what you do. Water it in, close it off. No sunlight, but bright light, and a nice spot. 3-4 weeks, and you get something we prepared earlier. I'll just pop that out of the way. And there's our cuttings. So this one's actually coming into flower. We've got some that are actually in flower. They're growing very well, all doing quite nicely. We'll repot these on I'll just show you the roots, but we'll repot these into the bottles themselves. Maybe just trim them, just keep them into a nice bush, and yeah, they'll be doing well. Okay, so just going to show the roots are actually quite fine when they start off, but as you can see, it's rooting quite nicely on them. And then we can just braid them up. Being very careful that when you take the roots out, we may be a little early for those, but they will grow quite nicely. And again, just to show, that's where the root's forming. It doesn't form on the stem, it forms at the node where all the roots come through. So it's just worth bearing in mind there. Now I've knocked all the soil off him, but it just comes from that node. Again, no rooting powder used in these ones. Some you should, some you do, but in general, as I said, I think these are probably just a little early if we'd left them for another week or two, but again, from the node on these things. So we'll put these into some nice grain mixture for them, and there's another nice 4 plants there for us to enjoy. And there we go. So this is one we took last autumn in fact, and it's been potted on, so it's starting to look quite a nice plant. Not the best shape, but it's quite nice. We'll start pinching some of these out, I think, just to promote a bit more bushiness. But yeah, so within a year we can get a full-size plant. This is ready to go into the garden. So doing a bit of work today. It's so hot up here. Not so bad in the shade, but the shade's disappearing now. It is very hot. It's not even 12 noon, so anyway, pumpkins are doing well. We'll just give them a bit of a feed and a clean up. And we spin across. This is our top border, so tomatoes reaching for the sky, plenty of flowers, onions sort of doing well, garlic in the background there. Star leaves are starting to turn, so we're going to pull that up in the next day or two, I think. Yeah, bit of kale there, lots of grass and weed and brambles, and we'll get going on that from now on. So I want this all cleared out, including my big Canuka tree, which is flowering nicely there. Trouble is the bees love it, but it's too big, so I'm going to take him down. We'll plant a whole palm more somewhere for the bees. Really happy with these tomatoes, but the ones downstairs are better, so I'll do a full video on those. Sweet corn coming up quite nicely, so that's looking good. And then not so good, but we'll put a pumpkin in, but he dried out. But he'll come right and start growing. So we're going to put a couple of pumpkins in here just to fill that space up. And that's this space. Quick look across the valley. There's the valley. A bit, there we go. Looking really nice. All the manuka's really coming into flower now. So it all starts to look like it's been snowing. Like there's been a dusting of snow in the distance. It's a great view. If it wasn't for the bushes and the trees, I'd probably see a bit more of the valley and that from here, but we'll get there. We'll get it done. And then just to here we've got, whoops, I'll come out a bit if I can. It doesn't look like I can go. The tree ferns, which we've got quite a few in the garden, and I'm always a bit reluctant to take them down, but I might do that and plant them somewhere else. It's got quite big stems on them now, so I can do that and just sink the stem into the ground. Same with this one that's shading me sort of, which is there. It's the silver fern. This tree, this big bush, that's got to come out. Probably can't see it too well, but it's just blocking the morning sun, and I want the morning sun, so, and that would actually give me a nice area as well to grow some more fruit trees, although southerly wind might hurt them a bit too much, but maybe some of the pears and apples will survive it quite nicely. And there we go. I did have a bantam and some chicks up here, but they've gone walkabout, so I better go and see what they're doing.